Sri Lalita Sahasranama, 447. Sante, tranquility itself. Savastamati, ultimate truth. Kante, effulgence. Nandini, giver of delight. And this is interpreted as the sacred cow. Vignanaseni, removal of all obstacles. Tajovati, effulgent. Trinayana, who has the three lighted eyes, the sun, the moon, and the fire. Lolakshi Kamarupeni, who's known in the world as the love of women. Malini, garland wearing. Hamseni, not separate from those who've reached the greater spiritual heights. Mata, mother, thought of as mother of all. And of course, we've gone beyond gender and forms and stuff, but again, these symbolic names here. Malaya Chalavaseni, who resides in the Malaya mountain, and it's a place of sandalwood and coolness and particular sacredness. Samukhi, of beautiful face. Nalini, of a soft and beautiful body. Subru, with beautiful eyebrows. Sobana, always radiant. Suranayaka, leader of the supreme entities. Forget exactly what Sura means. Kalakanti, deep-throated, also relates to Kalakanta, dark-throated. Nilakanta, blue-throated. Srikanta, poison-throated. Kantemati, radiant. Shobhini, causing the upheaval of mind. Sukshma Rupeni, with the form too subtle to be perceived. Vajrasvari, so this relates to the lightning bolt, but this is referred to the sixth entity of the daily list. And are the sixth quality of the daily deity. And, the myth is the performing the penance in the water by the entity of heaven. 469. Vamadevi, who's the shining of the left side. Vayovasta Vivarjita, exempt from the changes due to aging. Siddhasvari, worshipped by the spiritual adepts, Siddha Vidya, in the form of the 15-syllabled mantra, Siddhamata, mother of those who have renounced the worldly attachments, Yasasvini, of unequaled renown, Visuddha Chakra Nilaya, who resides in the throat chakra. You know, when you have 6 of them, you're the throat. But in the broader sense, it's not just a straight line chakra of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, depending on that system. There's actually about 114 points. And if you reach certain states, you can definitely feel or see that, or, you know, however it's going to come about. Arakta Varna, who's slightly red. Trilochana, with 3 eyes. Suddha Chakra. Katavangade Praharana, who's armed with a club and other weapons. Vadanayaka Samanvita, who possesses only 1 face. Payasana Preya, who's fond of the sweet rice. Tvaksatha, who's the entity of touch. Pasuloka Bayankari, who causes the beings of the mortal world to be fearful because of their worldly existence. Amrtade Mahasakte Samvarta, who's surrounded by Amrita and the greater energy. Dakinisvari, and you know, the entity that, like the queenly entity that's was described in mantra 475 to 483. Anahatabja Nilaya, who resides in the heart lotus. Syamabha, who's black in complexion, and this is understood as a 16-year-old female. Vadanadvaya, 2-faced. Damstrojvala, with shining tusks. So are we referring to an elephant or a pig or something as the reference? Akshamalade Dara, who has the garlands of things. So, you know, the wheel of the chariot bearing resemblance, and so wearing different round things. Rudira Samstita, who presides over the blood of the living things. Kala Ratriade Saktya Ungavrata, who's surrounded by the various energies and time. Snigdha Udana Preya, who's fond of the offerings containing fat. Mahavirendra Varada, who bestows the boons on the greatest ones, or on the great ones, are greater than their boons. Rakinyamba Svarupeni, who is in the form of the Rakini, as illustrated by 485 to 493. Manipurabjanalaya, who is in the 10-petaled lotus of the navel. Vadanatraya Samyuta, three-faced. Vajradikayudopeta, who holds the lightning bolt and weapons. Damarya Dibiravrata, who's surrounded by the attending entities. Raktavarna, red in complexion. Remember that whole red shift, blue shift thing. Mamsanishta, presiding over the flesh and the living beings. While there's also the thing about the reaction. So red represents reaction. Blue is sort of a reaction, but it's the reaction is going away as far as things in the flesh. So Gudana Prita Manasa, who's fond of the rice that has raw sugar. Samasta Bhakta Sukhada, who confers the happiness, that place of bliss, on the devotees. Lakinyamba Svarupeni, who is in the form as described in mantra 495 to 502. Svadhishthanambujagata, who resides in the six-petaled lotus. So it's sort of like saying the scripture-faced entity. You know, the sacred scriptures is its face. Chaturvaktra Manohara, with four beautiful faces. Isn't it that thing in Ezekiel, the four-faced creature? Suladya Yuddha Sampanna, possessing the trident and other such weapons. Pita Varna, yellow in color. Ategarvita, who's very proud. Madonishta, residing in the fat. Madhuprita, fond of honey and the honey maid. Bandinyade Samanvita, accompanied by the energies from Bandini to Lamboshti in the six petals. Dadyana Sakta Hardeya, who's fond of the offerings with curd. Kakini Rupa Dharini, who has the form described in name 503 to 512. Muladarambujaruda, who resides in the four-petaled lotus, the root chakra. Panchavaktra, five-faced. Aste Samsateta, who resides in the bones. Ankusade Praharana, who has a goad and other weapons. And some of these things are represented by some hand gestures. Varadade Nishavita, who's attended by Varada and other energies. Mudga Udana Sakta Chitta, who's fond of the mudga and lentil offerings. Sakinyamba Svarupeni, who's in the form of the name 514 to 519. Ajna Chakrabhya Nileya, who resides in the two-petaled lotus, that brow chakra. Suklavarna, who's white. And remember that talk about the white goddess. We're not talking about a race per se, but more of the fair, faint appearance, almost ghost-like. But that's not quite it. But you know what I mean. It's because people nowadays get, you said white or black or red, or even if you're pointing at a flag or something, and like, oh, he said there's red on the, yeah, there's red on the flag. Shadanana, six-faced. Maja Samstha, presiding over the bone marrow. Hamsavati Mukhya Sakte Samanvita, who's accompanied by the Kshamavati and Hamsavati. Haridranayaka Rasika, who's fond of the turmeric food, and rice with turmeric is one of the most common prasadam foods. Hakini Rupa Dharini, who's described in mantra 521 to 526. Sahasradala Padmastha, whose residence is thousand-petaled lotus. And we can think of some of these as forms belonging to deity, residence belonging to deity in a particular sense. Everything belongs to deity, but, this is residence that truly represents deity. Sarva Varno Pasobita, radiant with the many colors, are with the letters of the alphabet, so sound and light. Sarva Yuddha Dara, who holds the known weapons. Sukla Samsteta, whose residence is the semen. And are we including both female and male fluid here, or are we just including the male reproductive fluid? Sarvatomuki, who has the face is turned in all directions. Sarva Udana Prita Chitta, pleased by all the food offerings. Yakinyamba Svarupeni, Yakinyamba Svarupeni, and who's known through 528 to 533 mantra. Svaha, and that's a very common ending of mantras, and it's useful in evoking, and it relates to fire in its meaning, that basically it's one's own speech. You know, it's not just you're repeating something and not taking responsibility. You're taking responsibility for what you're saying, you know, for your life, etc., etc. Svada. So who's the object of what's used? So it's well and it nourishes. Amate, who owns ignorance, nescience. So the emotional is one way to put it. In Arabic, they have the Jahiliyyah. It doesn't mean pre-Islamic age because they don't believe that there's such a thing among humans. And if you look at what the words mean, there really wouldn't be. But, you know, the emotional ignorance. It's not criticizing emotion, but, you know, but deity is over that, right? Medda, the form of wisdom. Srute, the form of what's heard. Smrte, and what is remembered. Anuttama, who is the best, who is not excelled. Punya, kirte, of sacred and righteous fame. Punya labya, who is attained only by the righteous. The Bhagavatam and some other texts talk about, oh, you can attain the world of, the Bhagavad Gita talk about, you can attain the world of this, that, and the other, but the highest world is ultimate deity, and only the best attain that, expressed in different ways, of course. Punya, Sravana, Kirtana, who bestows merit on anyone who hears or praises. So, serving others. Papa is the word for sin. So, serving others through what is heard and said, are serving others who hear and say. Pudomajarcheta, who's worshipped by Pudomaja. And so the feminine side of the ruler over heaven is, you know, that serves deity. Or you could say that that pure knowledge of that side of it. Banda Mochani, who's free from the bonds and releases from the bondage. Barbara Laka, one with beautiful hair. You know, wavy locks of hair is the other way to say it. Vimarsa Rupeni. So, luminosity and reflection. Vidya, who's in the form of knowledge. Vyadade Jagat Prasuh, mother of the aggregate of the elements that starts with the ether. Sarvavyade Prasamani, removing the disease and the sorrows. So old age and disease, actually. Sarvam Nivarini, who guards from all kinds of death, or cuts asunder the fetters of death, so death isn't a fettering thing, because you've already, detached from mere material existence and operated it like a tool. But Agra Ganya, the foremost, Achintya Rupa, whose form is beyond the reach of thought, Kare Kalmasha Naseni, destroyer of sins in the 10th age, Katyayani, who's the daughter of Katya, and so there's that myth of the radiance and the presiding over the temple of Udhyana.